You are on India Today podcasts and you are in the sledging room. All right, the World Cup 2023 is upon us finally after months and months of waiting. Look, the sledging room, when we started off with this podcast, this dynamic podcast where Akshay and Saurabh and me, we've been asking some burning questions. I think we've often asked the right questions. Sometimes we've gone off the rails a little bit because of Akshay's bias and his U-turns, but we've been more or less there, raising those pertinent points. Can India end the 10-year-old drought at ICC events? Of course, there were opportunities. There was one opportunity last year at the T20 World Cup. Did not happen. India losing to England in a one-sided semi-final. There was the World Test Championship final earlier this year. Again, India losing to Australia in a one-sided final. Now with everything done, everything is history now. Look back at those events and you think, look, they're events of the past. And I focused on the ODI World Cup. The World Cup is returning to the subcontinent after 12 years. The first time that India is hosting the World Cup all on its own. Of course, there was 1987, India were co-hosts, 1996, India were co-hosts, and of course, 2011, India were co-hosts with Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and they won the World Cup. They started the trend of the host nation winning the World Cup. 2015, of course, Australia won that event, and 2019, it was England after a rather controversial final. I mean, I thought that was one of the greatest one-day matches ever played, but now it's all come down to this. Just hours away from England versus New Zealand again. It's all a repeat of that scintillating final from 4 years ago in that opening game of the 2023 World Cup. India's first match is, of course, against Australia in Chennai on the 8th of October, which is Sunday. Gentlemen, all set?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Akshay, you look a little more enthused. I mean, our listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts wouldn't see.
Yeah.
But you being watched on YouTube.
No, I'm just thinking about the excitement, Raj. What excites you most about India hosting the World Cup? Can both of you give your thoughts?
I'll tell you why. Because I covered the last World Cup and I know how important it is for India to make a mark early. Second, you can talk all you want about the last 3 World Cups going to the host nation, being won by the host nation, but it's not easy. There will be a bundle of pressure. There'll be so many expectations. We're almost talking like India have won the World Cup. Yeah. I think there is a chance. So that's what excites me, that home advantage. I mean, there is hope. Obviously, there is always hope whenever India travels to play an ICC event, but I don't think you can brush aside home advantages, even in the IPL era.
Absolutely. As you rightly said, World Cup in India.
Yeah.
And we have the chance.
Yeah.
I mean, Virat Kohli, in all likelihood, he's going to play his last ODI World Cup. Rohit Sharma, his last ODI World Cup. So we all have seen these guys toil hard and then fall just before the World Cup semi-final or the final. This is the time they should go and win it. Virat Kohli should become the first Indian to win 2 ODI World Cups.
Don't forget Ashwin there. He's part of the squad
obviously,
now.
Ashwin also. I'm really sorry I missed out on Ashwin Anna.
Yeah.
But definitely. I'm very happy. I'm very excited about World Cup happening in India because this time, this is the chance where we can actually win it.
And the buzz, Raj, 2019, after that we have seen some COVID years. That buzz in India, right? The stadiums, from the shirt sellers outside the stadiums to the people who are covering it. Every day morning you wake up, check newspapers, go to websites, check scores. That buzz of having a World Cup in India, especially when fans, we saw the reception that Pakistan cricket team got, Babar Azam got, and we saw the reception that India got when they landed in Guwahati. So that, the cricket in India is unparalleled, right? It's an emotion in India. And when the biggest cricket carnival comes here, 50 over World Cup, let's be frank, Raj. Nothing can match the intensity that a 50 over World Cup brings. It comes once in 4 years, unlike the T20 World Cup, which comes once in 2 years. For the last 2 years, it has been coming once every year. But the mood of a 50 over World Cup, the kids, from kids to, the elders watching it, going to the stadium, thronging it and creating a mood. I am just very, very, very doubtful of how the opposition teams are going to handle this, hype that the fans are going to build.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
When I think Rahul Dravid mentioned, and he talked about home advantage and he said, look, there is no such thing as home advantage in this era. Obviously, he knows a lot better than all three of us here. But, having covered the game for so many years, you'd also think that home advantage in India, look, it's a different level altogether.
Yes.
I'm only thinking of the intense support for India in Chennai against Australia, in Ahmedabad against Pakistan. So, and that fervor, you can talk about so much in cricket. I mean, cricket in this country, it is a different emotion, right? There was a time when they said the mood of the nation swayed along with Tendulkar's performances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think to an extent, it is still true of the Indian cricket team. Imagine India have had India as a country has had a tremendous year. Like, India is in the middle of a great era. You're talking of Chandrayaan 3, that whole, pride of the nation, how the mood was lifted. And imagine you culminating, you closing the year off with a World Cup triumph. This will be historic. And look, we've often raised those questions on the Sledging Room, right? Wondering where KL Rahul's form, what happened to KL Rahul's form, asking questions of Virat Kohli, asking questions of Rohit Sharma's captaincy. But I'd be the first person to, concede that, look, this is emphatic now. The way you've built up to the World Cup is just great. With the Asia Cup victory and then the bilateral series against Australia. Yes, you lost that last game to the Aussies. We did ask some questions about India's tendency to chase down big totals. But again, that was, we also admitted that, look, we're just basically nitpicking. And it's okay to also nitpick. But there is a lot of buzz around the World Cup. In fact, Akshay and I were at the Star Sports offices in Mumbai, and obviously, it's now, a lot of us know that there is a vertical angle to their videos on to the live cricket coverage on Hotstar. So you'd basically be able to just hold your phone and watch a live match on your app on Hotstar with the same way that you watch Instagram Reels, for instance.
Okay.
Yeah. So kids these days, not just kids, even Akshay, for instance, he is constantly on his phone,
doom scrolling,
rolling up
my life.
What do you say that? What do you call that?
Just scrolling.
So that's what your
Doom
generation
scrolling
calls
is
it. No, I do that sometimes as well. Depending on your feed. So I get a lot of these motor racing and more auto reviews on my phone, and I get these old cricket.
The buzz in the digital media houses, the newsrooms. We saw how the Mumbai's epicenter was buzzing with World Cup excitement.
It is exciting.
In our desk, we are thinking of what we should do today with the Asian
which
Games
is
coverage.
fine. Our desk is buzzing as well. But that's the whole point of it, right?
Exactly.
This is part of the cricket narrative as well.
Exactly.
Where they're such proud professionals. And look, I think they're just insanely obsessed with getting the best of coverage for cricket. I think that was very, very impressive. We walked around and we spoke to Sanjay Gupta as well, and he took us through some of their plans and how it all came to being, that whole vertical video aspect on their app on Hotstar. So basically, look, you just pick up your phone, and instead of, how would you watch a cricket match, right?
Yeah,
on your app, you
landscape
just
mode.
Tilt it around. For those listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you could also tune into YouTube. So basically, you tilt your phone on landscape mode, and then you'd watch it with a full screen. So now you don't have to do anything, and obviously the footage, the match appears a lot. The players appear a lot closer. You're actually going to see Virat Kohli's animated expression, say after he scores 100 against Australia, or Ashwin after he takes a 5-4 against Pakistan. You're going to see that fervor. So basically, you're looking at the three main protagonists in play at that point in time, and then there are split screens that you're going to be able to see when the ball, say, goes to third man or deep fine leg or whatever. So you're not missing out on any part of the action. It just culminates in much better viewing experiences. So a lot of you are going to wonder, why are you talking about such technical aspects? Because I think that's also part of sports. The way digital sport has, the way sports coverage has revolutionized, whether it's TV, whether it's digital platforms, and obviously, like in India, you've had a lot of pioneering sport evolutions in broadcast. And I think Star has done a wonderful job with this. So a lot of you, when you get to see this on your apps, on Hotstar, you'll really like the concept. So I like the concept. I'm more excited because of the new way of bringing a sporting narrative, right?
Storytelling.
It is storytelling. I mean, what we are also doing is part of a storytelling narrative. We are asking those questions. We are presenting new things to you. You're obviously able to see a lot more of what I'm talking about on IndiaToday.in. Akshay is going to tell you about how commentators are trained, for instance, for major events, for the World Cups, how their rosters are made. Do they get any days off? Do they need to go through workshops? So we're going to talk about that in detail. We'll do a video as well where we'll talk about how nicely these plans are laid into place. I mean, it has always excited me as a sports fan to understand how cricket is brought to you.
Absolutely.
You see those studios and such passionate people, extremely passionate people. They're really, really intense, by the way, when they're bringing that kind of quality footage to you. How it is all mixed, how the feed comes through to them, and what they do with it, how it's distributed to millions and millions of fans across the world. It's just fascinating. You'll get to see a lot more. But what's also fascinating is the way the Indian team has prepared.
I wanted to ask you this question to both of you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's one of the strongest Indian teams going into a World Cup? Why? As in, it might. Comparatively, look at the 2011, look at the 2015, look at the 2019. In 2019, we had issues with the number 4 spot. Now we have a problem of plenty for the middle order.
I wasn't born in 83, but I can tell you 2011 was the strongest team because you had every box ticked. You had all-rounders. You had the top 3 in very, very good form. You had someone called Yuvraj Singh lower down the order and who could bowl 10 overs consistently. Do you have anybody now who could bat like that and who could give you 10 overs and give you 2 or 3 wickets every match? But you have some quality all-rounders. You have Hardik, of course, and with Ashwin's addition alongside Jadeja, I think that gives you that more heft. But for me, I think sentimentally, maybe it's my generation. But
what about you, Saurabh?
Even I agree with him. You look at the 2011 World Cup squad. You talk about people like Sachin, Sehwag, Yuvraj. I mean, that team looked like you can't beat them. You talk about bowling, you had Zahir Khan, you had Ashish Nehra, you had Harbhajan Singh, you had R. Ashwin, a young R. Ashwin, who is now heading out. So that team was absolutely brilliant. Yes, the way we played in Asia Cup, it actually helped us tick almost all boxes. Right now, we'll have to see how we perform in this World Cup. But yes, we are definitely going to be one of the favorites with the kind of performance we have given in the Asia Cup. And sadly, the 2 warm-up games were not played because of inclement weather in Guwahati and Thiruvananthapuram. But still, this Indian team looks charged up. Rohit Sharma, you could see them.
And this is typical of an Indian cricket fan. As in, you both of you are journalists. You have immense experience in covering the game. Saurabh is getting there. But you know what? This is how the mood of the nation has changed. If you go, viewers, if you go back to our previous episodes, if you listen to what Saurabh and Rajesh have been speaking, they were extremely critical of the team. They were asking questions like whether this team is good enough, whether this team can make the semi-final. But now the narrative has changed. Absolutely, that is what I'm saying.
What do you mean narrative?
That is what I'm saying. It has all come to.
No, it is also okay to be positive before the start of the World Cup.
Exactly. Not just positive.
And have hope.
We have also questioned. I have also questioned. But India have put in some performances to make sure that those questions are on the sideline at the moment.
But I also wanted to address something else. You talk about how well they batted against Pakistan in the second game at the Asia Cup. You talk about India's high-scoring match against Australia, where Ashwin picked some crucial wickets in the second innings. But I've also said that in the past. I don't know whether I said that on the Sledging room, but I've told you outside of the studios that, look, India have done that in the Asia Cup before. India have done that in bilateral matches before. What you want to see is for them to take that performance, take that level of intensity into the World Cup. Right? That's going to be important. So we also ask questions on India's inability to even put up a fight in that chase in the third ODI against Australia. Where was the intent? I mean, you wanted a little intent at least with nothing to lose. The way Virat Kohli batted, or for instance, the way KL Rahul struggled in the
star
middle
players were rested. You should give
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's all right. That's all right. I'm saying that, look, in Shubman Gill's absence, you also had
Nishan,
Washington
Nishan,
Sundar
yeah.
batting at number 2.
Opening, yeah.
So, essentially, if Shubman Gill had played, so you would have had Sundar batting at number 7 or number 8.
Yeah.
He's not an opener. So, I get that. But I'm just saying that, those things, are, again, they're nitpicking. But it's all right. It's okay to be, you'd want to back your team now with the World Cup. Underway.
Absolutely.
The warm-up matches are done. But India, unfortunately, couldn't play a single day of warm-up cricket. And Rohit Sharma
said at the
in
captain's day
captain's corner
meet that it's good that we got an off
Yeah.
because it's very hectic. And if you looked at the intensity with which most teams play the warm-up matches,
Yeah.
it was like not up to the it was not. It did not have an international status. You could play your entire. It was all about getting the things right at the final moment. It's not about Pakistan beating Australia or Australia beating Pakistan. It's just about stepping up, players stepping up, finding out the combinations and all that. I don't think it's a big loss for India. Maybe some game time for someone like R. Ashwin or something would have helped. But also it doesn't expose someone like Kuldeep and Bumrah.
But okay, I think we also need to talk about Ashwin. What do you make of it, R. Ashwin's?
Yeah.
And we did touch upon that in our last episode.
Yes.
But
I think
Ashwin,
I
good,
think
bad.
that is the Banhastra, Raj. The last moment
What is
coming
that?
in. The Banhastra.
You're talking Brahmastra.
No, there is something called Banhastra, which means very important weapon in your arsenal.
I think it's called Brahmastra. The last weapon when you are about to lose, you pull it out and you win it.
Excuse me for my lack of understanding.
But
But
should have been better prepared with what Hindi word you wanted to use on the podcast. Where did you hear
You're
that?
almost there. You're almost there. I'll give it to you.
okay, let's not go there. It'll be even more confusing.
But
But I think
you've been in Noida for how many years now?
6.
You should have.
But look at this.
Pick
I
better
think
Hindi.
that is the thing that stars are aligning.
Oh.
Of course, we discussed it in the last episode of the podcast itself. Akshar Patel's injury is very unfortunate. But I think that R. Ashwin, that off spinner, considering the amount of left-handers that opposition teams have,
Yeah.
and it's not like Ashwin can't bowl to the right-handers. When you see if
Yeah,
Mana,
I mean,
he
I
has
know
had
what you're
the
saying.
edge over
He's a
Australian teams,
phenomenal bowler against left arm.
and you need that experience. India have traditionally relied on spin. Yes, you can say Rohit Sharma pointed out a couple of weeks before that pacers might play a bigger role. But if there is spin, if there is support for spin on pitches, you need that experience.
You
to
need
make
that
use of it.
experience and you also need that balance, I think. Three
Absolutely.
left-arm spinners would have been a
Exactly.
tad bit too much. We said that as well.
Yeah.
You don't know whether 3 pacers are going to play. I think it makes for a great case for Shami, Siraj and Bumrah to play together.
Especially after how they performed in
And
recent
sort
times.
of, Akshay, I mean, I can't think of any other team which, with 3 pacers of their stature, the caliber, not playing together. I mean, no matter what the conditions are.
Yes.
Again, we keep obsessing over the playing 11. Let's say Rohit, Gill, Virat, Iyer, KL, your number 5 wicketkeeper. He will play ahead of Ishan Kishan. You have number 6, you have Hardik Pandya. You have Jadeja, Ashwin, Kuldeep. And then that just leaves you with 3 options. So why not is the question.
Yeah.
You also have Hardik. So you have, a decent enough lineup there. And Ashwin at number 8 is not a bad option to look at. 9. I mean, sorry,
And I think we should-
leave left with 9. So you either playing
Two-
3
two-
spinners
two
and 2 pacers plus Hardik, or you get to play.
And it gives you a good option as well, right? If the pitch is it has a bit of grass, then you can not think of playing 3 spinners. So
And R. Ashwin must be fired up, right?
Yeah,
He did not
of
play
course,
that
of
WTC
course.
final against Australia.
that's a very
He was
important
on the
point,
bench.
Yeah.
Now he has got this chance in his homeland. Playing, I think he's playing his last ODI World Cup, most likely.
Yeah.
This is his chance to show why he is going to be one of the greatest off spinners this world has ever seen.
And also, Raj, we need characters that makes the opposition team
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if Ashwin is there in the lineup, they will think, okay, how are we going to handle it? They'll at least spend a couple of hours the night before seeing
I can
what he
think
has
of at
done.
least 2 or 3 teams in this competition who'd be sweating with
Yes.
Ashwin and Jadeja in the
Yes.
opposition ranks. You'll have Australia who'd be very worried in Chennai. England won't be very pleased with Ashwin and Jadeja bowling in tandem, and then you throw Kuldeep Yadav into the mix. And South Africa as well. I mean, they've always come to India and struggled against quality spin. And you have the pace battery as well. I mean, you have the option of playing 3 together.
Exactly.
Moreover, Hardik has been exceptional with the ball, especially with the last 2 years. He's just, he's become a different cricketer. He was always a very good cricketer. I think now he's going to touch greatness with the way he's bowled. Even, a few of the innings that he's played. Yes, he bats low down the order. Obviously he's not going to get you a lot of hundreds. But I think even those quick 30s, 40s from him, and he's been a part of some good partnerships in the past as well. That Hardik Pandya Rishabh Pant partnership comes to mind in England last year, which now seems an eternity back. But I think that way your team is pretty well ticked. You have the good, you have the top three. I know it's controversial to say this. I know there will be some eyebrows being raised, but I am a little worried with the way Virat Kohli has gone about his whole approach to the World Cup. You argue that, look, he's got hundreds. He even got 100 against Pakistan. But that was again, Pakistan is not the team to beat for me. I keep saying that. I think India are going to be overwhelming favourites against Pakistan come the 14th of October. But I just thought the way he approached that chase against Australia, especially after that start from Rohit Sharma, was a little disconcerting.
But it's a World Cup, Raj. That is where I was about to come, but it's a World Cup. It's a biggest event.
Yeah.
Also of Virat Kohli's career. In 2011, when he was part of the squad, he was not the go-to man for MS Dhoni. He was coming up the ranks. But now he is the go-to man, the center of attraction. And with the crowd there, he has always spoken about not having crowd during the pandemic days. But with the crowd there, I think he'll definitely be fired up, and that will give that extra motivation. As in, for these cricketers, they don't need any extra motivation.
Yeah.
They come out, they represent the country, they stand for the national anthem. That itself is great motivation. But I think that much of responsibility that he has in front of packed stadiums across the world, chanting his name, across the country, chanting his name, that's going to give him that extra motivation.
Okay, Ishan Kishan over KL Rahul, or KL Rahul retains his place?
I think KL Rahul will retain his place.
Despite his wicket-keeping faux pas.
I think he will. Especially after how he has batted in last 5-6 years.
But his wicket-keeping has been horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
You have to agree. What happened on
Virat
the field,
kept
we
in
all
a
saw
couple
that.
of matches in ODIs.
So now you're expecting Virat Kohli to...
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I wanted to ask you, who are the players who you think might bow out, as in this might be the farewell World Cups?
David Warner.
Warner.
I think Rohit Sharma's, obviously he's playing his last World Cup as
Steve Smith.
Steven Smith. Virat Kohli, what do you think?
Given his fitness, I wouldn't rule him out of the
34. Virat is 34 now.
Why can't you play till 40?
Yeah.
He's fit, and if he becomes an accumulator.
Yes.
I agree with one school of thought that he doesn't necessarily have to go at the same strike rate as the others. I mean, Joe Root doesn't go at the same strike rate as the others.
And we all saw how England played that warm-up match, setting the template. Joe Root holding one end.
Yeah.
Others
but that
going,
also doesn't, deflect from the point that he wasn't as aggressive as he should have been in a chase of 350.
So if you
You have to play according to the situation also.
Definitely. If you get into Virat's head, he believes anchor's role is important in T20. So he'll be definitely up for the anchor's role.
My problem is that you've had 3 anchors for way too long when KL was opening with Rohit.
Yeah.
So that was a detrimental aspect.
But
and I don't think there is a role for T20 anchors. I mean, look at any other team apart from Pakistan, and they have struggled in. Okay, they've reached the final of the T20 World Cup, but
Pakistan are a team full of anchors.
They were lucky. They were lucky to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they were lucky to get there. I think Australia, despite that build-up, lost the ODI series. They've had issues with their bowling in South Africa and in India. But I think when Pat, Mitchell and Josh get together, there will be a phenomenal outfit as well.
See, you're talking about Australia. Do you guys remember what happened in the 2007 build-up? Australia lost that ODI series badly.
Yeah.
There were so many questions raised because Ponting was out with injury. Hussey was captaining. They come in the World Cup. They steamroll every opposition, win the World Cup for, I think, 3rd consecutive time.
Yeah.
So you're talking about Australia, 5-time world champions. Whatever it might be, they are going to give you a tough challenge wherever they play.
Since you've said tough challenge, India versus Australia. Before we get there, England versus New Zealand, the repeat of last edition's final. What do you think? Who will take the cake?
I think England are so well prepared because of everything that they have put themselves through, the challenges that they always want to accept. They decided to drop someone like Harry Brook from the preliminary squad. Obviously, got him back in because of his form in the 100.
They left out Jason Roy.
But there were other issues with Jason Roy. His fitness was a concern. So now with Harry Brook back in the mix, I think that gives that batting lineup that kind of versatility. You have Ben Stokes, who's obviously not going to bowl, but he's been in phenomenal form. He's come back and he's looked rejuvenated. He's eager to play. He will obviously remember his heroics from the last World Cup.
Yes.
So he's going to be a potent threat. And now you'll have to look at whether you will play Joe Root in all these games because you have someone like David Malan. Again, you would want to give Johnny Bairstow a long run as well. And Josh Butler himself hasn't been in great form, but come the World Cup and a lot of leaders do step up, and that bowling lineup, it's a scary bowling lineup. A lot of people not talking about it.
And that is when you don't have Jofra Archer.
That is when you don't have Jofra Archer. You have Mark Wood. You have someone like Liam Livingston, right, who can bat at number 7 also and be so destructive, and he can turn his arm around for good 5 or 6 overs of leg spin.
Don't forget their left-arm spinners who have wealth of experience. Left-arm fast bowlers who have wealth of experience playing the IPL. Sam Curran, Reece Topley, David Willey.
Reece Topley was unfortunately injured
in
the early part of the IPL.
Yeah. And T20 World Cup also he missed.
Exactly. But
he'll also have a
he's
point to prove.
Very, very dangerous. And David Willey, like you said. So that's a very, very good mix as well.
Don't forget the spin destroyer Moeen Ali. He showed that he would go
Adil Rashid. I mean, there are some very, very good. I mean, Adil Rashid, I think, is one of the finest limited over spinners in world cricket. So he will be a potent threat. Even New Zealand, you just mentioned New Zealand. Every time they come to an ICC event and people are like, nobody talks of New Zealand in the last 4. Nobody. Even now, I mean, I was listening to a few experts and India, Australia, England, Pakistan, India. Somebody even mentioned South Africa, Australia, England, India, Pakistan, this and that. Nobody ever mentions New Zealand. And yet, New Zealand are always there.
Yeah.
96 semi-finalists, 2011 semi-finalists, 2015 finalists, 2019 finalists. I mean,
2021
I still think that World Cup should have been, both captains should have been able to lift that World Cup. I mean, England fans may not agree with us, but I still think, and the winners of the inaugural World Test Championship. So you never talk of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Kane Williamson is back from injury, and that is the biggest boon.
And they have Trent Bolt back in the squad.
Yes.
I mean, these guys, when they play IPL, they run the show.
Yes.
And New Zealand, of all, you might not call them favorites. Nobody might call them favorites. But when they will step on the pitch, they will give you the toughest of challenges. And they will go and play the semi-finals, if not the finals. With the way they have performed in the last 3-4 World Cups, you see them how they come.
So you're calling them a finalist for this edition, semi-finalist for this edition as well?
At least a semi-finalist for this edition. That's what I'm calling them.
Even now, Kane Williamson is not going to play the opener. He has played the warm-up matches, but they have New Zealand have confirmed that they don't even
have
him back.
Team Saudi also.
They don't have Team Saudi till the second half of the tournament. But New Zealand, it's not about those big names.
Yes,
they just find a way. Jimmy Neesham, Daryl Mitchell, Glenn Phillips, Devon Conway. They have enough. Mitchell Santner, Ish Sodhi, don't forget them. Lockie Ferguson. We all saw what Lockie Ferguson did in the IPL. So all of them have Indian exposure as well.
All of them, and they've got a lot of subcontinental exposure. Yes. They come and play a lot of cricket. And South Africa, though.
Tom Latham. Let's not forget Tom Latham.
South Africa, chokers, have they made a case for themselves? I mean, they've got through World Cup through qualifying.
See,
did they? Yes, they got to the World Cup through qualification,
but
there was a chance they would have missed out. Or did they finish?
I think I did. I think
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka entered through qualification. I'm sorry, but South Africa were under threat of not qualifying for the World Cup till the last minute, the 11th hour qualification.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, they've been phenomenal. They've had a very good World Cup record. You go back at 92, 96, 99, 2003, 2000, not so much 2003. But 2007, I don't remember, 2000. Yeah, but from there on, 2015, they reached the semi-finals. Heartbreaking defeat to New Zealand.
Yes.
But again, with Temba Bavuma and Quinton de Kock now having announced his retirement from one-day cricket after the World Cup, they're going to miss a couple of the star pacers. But I think with Rabada at the helm, Nokia and Magala not there. But I think Rabada at the helm, that is a very, very good bowling lineup.
Let's not forget the spin bowling attack. Huh?
And the middle order.
Yes. Keshav Maharaj, Tavre Shamsi.
And they're coming with such, great confidence behind them. David Miller, Andre Klaasen, that famous partnership just a few weeks back. There is a lot of firepower. I look at the South Africa lineup and, I always wonder the firepower and where does it go missing?
Yeah.
It all seems to have fallen into place for a lot of these teams just before the World Cup. India, for instance, you'd have been worried 2 months back, 1 month back. But now look at the way they have just bounced back and they've ticked all the boxes. Definitely. I think South Africa also has
and all these South African players, if you listen to them, Temba Bavuma, Kagiso Rabada, their head coach, they all have been saying, yes, we have not been able to win a World Cup, but this is our chance to go and win it. Yeah. We have the squad, we have the bowling, we have the batting. Everything has been ticked. So this might be their chance also to make it big, finally.
Why are we neglecting the Asian teams?
No, I was about to come to Sri Lanka.
India,
I was
apart from India,
I was about to come to Sri
who
Lanka.
are the other Asian teams do you think can
No,
make an
But
impression?
let's not bifurcate between Asian and non-Asian teams right now, because
but
we're
yeah,
talking of the World Cup.
Since
Man,
they are playing in the
I
subcontinent.
was about to come to Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka have been, I don't know, they've had to come through qualification and they've had their issues as well. And then there was a run where they've won so many ODIs.
14 ODIs.
Bowling teams out consistently. I think they were very impressive in the Asia Cup as well. Pushed India hard in the Super 4. They beat Pakistan, and that final, it was just, I don't know, it was a disaster, right?
That was an aberration, I think.
Siraj and the elements just worked against them. It won the toss, and suddenly there was such cloud cover.
Overcast, yeah.
But you don't become don't become that bad a team overnight. It was just
36 all out. One team was bowled out for 36
And
a couple of years ago.
and then they went on and did something which was
By the way,
remarkable.
and a team which was even weaker than that on paper
Yes,
went on to stage that comeback against a top quality, full strength Australian
And with
team
every
in their
every
conditions.
test match, you saw some star
Yeah.
players getting
Oh, that
injured.
was
Too many debutants. I mean,
one of the greatest test series ever played, I think.
If India don't make the semi-final, I'll watch the rerun of that.
No, but okay. Let's focus on Sri Lanka as well. But you think they have that
No,
bandwidth?
I don't think so. I don't think so. This time, firstly, if you ask me,
rushing them aside. I don't think
I
they're
don't
that
think
bad
so.
a team.
I don't think they have the tools to make the top 4.
Sri Lanka not that bad a side, but you know what is going to hurt them? These injuries.
Yes.
A player like Vanindu Hasaranga not playing the entire World Cup. This one, Chamira not playing the entire World Cup.
Yes.
It's going to play a
But
big
Avishka
part.
Fernando is back for them, so they have that solidity in that lineup as well.
Lahiru Kumara.
And Lahiru Kumara is back. Dunit Velalege, by the way, he has
Velalege.
also made his case when, I mean, look, had a lot of these bowlers been fit, you probably wouldn't have looked at someone like Dunit Velalege
Yeah,
because he's
absolutely.
just fast-tracked from the Sri Lankan
Under
domestic
19 yes.
circuit.
Yeah.
Right? So you wouldn't have seen a lot of these cricketers. So I think, yes, you're right, they're going to miss Chamira and Hasaranga, but I think they still have the wherewithal. And, Pereira and Mendes, they get in some decent form.
Kusal Mendes was
Pathum
in good form in the
Nissanka-
warm-up match also.
Pathum Nissanka has been a little disappointing, but he's not that bad a batsman. It was just horrid shot selection. I think they were under pressure. They suddenly reached the Asia Cup final after winning the qualification. Qualifiers for the World Cup. So you could understand that there was a palpable pressure in the elements. And Siraj, that day he was just unplayable. No, number 1 ranked bowler in the world.
One thing I want to make it clear here, as in I want to give it to Dasun Chanaka is, there has been so many questions about his place in the side, let alone his captaincy. And I won't be surprised if he makes a strong comeback in the World Cup.
You never know. He's been criticized. There was
We all
word in
hope
the
that
Sri Lankan...
happens. We all hope that happens.
Yeah. And there was word in the Sri Lankan media also,
Yes.
right, that he might be sacked and this might happen, that might happen. Then a few hours later, Dasun Shanaka captain. I think one Asian team that is really on the edge here is Bangladesh.
Yes.
The entire controversy was so unnecessary and it was so utterly avoidable that you often wonder why. Why? Tamim Iqbal, U-turn, retires, takes a U-turn, captaincy, no captaincy. Will he be named for the World Cup? Will he be named in the middle order? Will he play in the top order? Dropped. Reacts on Facebook. As if that was not enough, Shakib Al Hasan, who's captain, who's the senior most statesman in the Bangladesh team, the biggest cricket legend in Bangladesh, reacts like that. I thought that was also a very immature outburst. You're drawing parallels with Rohit Sharma. You come to a different country. I mean, that was unnecessary, right, for that team spirit. And now, I don't know. I was telling Akshay in the last episode, Saurabh, that Bangladesh have always played so well with that siege mentality. Now, is it gone? There's such inner bickering, and that bickering now between two of the biggest stars is out in the public.
I think it is going to play an important role. And just before the start of the World Cup, these are the things you don't want to happen. But even after these things have happened, you see how they performed in these warm-up games.
Yes.
England, for instance, they defeated Sri Lanka, and then against England came out all out attacking. In 3 overs, they scored 50 runs. But Bangladesh bowlers, they were really terrific.
Yeah, they have good bowlers. Yeah,
they have good bowlers.
Phases.
Their batting needs to back these bowlers.
Yes.
If they want to do something, like Bangladesh have always been a team full of talent and everything, but they end up nowhere. Best I think that it was defeat England in the 2015 World Cup, which helped England script a different kind of form.
Exactly.
So let's see what happens with Bangladesh, but I don't see them making top 4.
Pakistan, team to beat.
See, I will not rule out Pakistan. As in, we have seen they have issues with their middle order, they have issues with their bowling, but they might find something. And I say this because they are in a comfort zone right now. They have got good reception. They are in a good mind space, but it all boils down to how they handle the weaknesses.
Yeah, every team that comes to India will be warmly welcomed.
But
so
for them,
that is Indian hospitality.
For them, coming to India after a long time, some of them coming for the first time, seeing all this might spur them up. But how they mask their weaknesses, and no team is perfect.
No,
but
Akshay, you're talking about a team which has a lot of weaknesses.
Absolutely.
You are without one of your star bowlers.
Yeah.
The other is just about probably fit. Shaheen Afridi, by the way, wasn't in great form in the Asia Cup.
Yes.
Hassan Ali out of nowhere. That has quite created a bit of a stir in Pakistan as well.
Yeah.
The Pakistan top three, which has been their pride, so-called pride over the last year, not in the best of form. I mean,
and
yes,
the spin bowling arguably is the weakest
very, very thin
in this World Cup.
Especially for a nation side.
Yeah.
You expect better spin bowling.
Yeah.
And you talk about, you saw what happened to Haris Rauf in the Australia game.
Yes.
He was tongued here and there.
Hassan Ali couldn't find rhythm. Yeah, of course, understandable that coming back from a long time.
And even that unity in the team, I don't know whether there was a lot of news around Babar Azam and Shaheen Afridi in Pakistani cricket.
But
Twitter.
you all saw the wedding photos.
Yeah, but one doesn't justify the other.
Of course.
You can't really tell what's happening behind the scenes. And even though sections of Pakistani media denied any sort of rift between Babar and Shaheen, even such suggestions of differences between the captain and the senior most bowler, it's obviously distracting. But since you mentioned spin for a nation team, Afghanistan is one team that I'd be very wary of. You're playing Afghanistan in Delhi. The batting is not their biggest strength, but look at the spin lineup.
Afghanistan spin bowlers. I mean, you look at those bowlers. You look at Rashid Khan. You look at Noor Ahmed, Mohammad Nabi.
Mujib.
Everyone is a match winner.
Yes.
And they can turn the game on its head.
Yeah.
They have actually made Indian batters, Pakistani batters, Bangladesh batters, everywhere they go, they will force you
Yes.
to play defensively. And
also,
this World Cup, if, as you say, their batters have not been their best, but with Ibrahim Zadran
yes.
and Rahmat Shah when he performed in that Bangladesh game, if these batters can back their spinners, who knows?
And don't forget a couple of the pieces. One of them has had a close association and relationship with Virat Kohli.
Gautam Gambhir's favorite, Naveen Ulak, we are talking about.
Is that battle, Naveen versus Kohli?
Definitely.
You think that'll be a battle of attrition?
Let's not play it up too much.
Why not?
At the end of
Why
the day,
not?
Virat Kohli is Virat Kohli.
No, why not? I mean, Naveen Ulak is also playing for his country.
Kohli was Virat Kohli in the RCB game also, right?
No, but playing for India, do you expect Naveen Ulak to trouble? Virat Kohli wouldn't even think about all this. We are hyping it up.
We can build up a narrative. What's wrong with
next day, the previous day, Virat Kohli might be chilling, watching something on the
that?
TV.
Virat Kohli takes Naveen Ulak for 24 runs.
Well, maybe that,
I'm just saying that among the Asian teams, Afghanistan is the most dangerous for me. Obviously, you talk of Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they can do some damage. Unforetold damage could be done by Afghanistan because they can be real party spoilers.
And
even though they have only won one World Cup match, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
But
so I just wanted to point out one thing. People used to say that Pakistan is a team one day it's up, one day it's down. I don't think they have those mercurial players now. I think Afghanistan is the team which has those mercurial players who can be up and down in a zip.
My other problem is Afghanistan. You keep talking about, yes, they are not the strongest team in the World Cup. They did not win a single match in 2019, but they pushed Pakistan close. They gave India a bit of a scare, I think, until that hat-trick from Shami, and anything could have happened. They bowled well enough to restrict India to probably a below par total in England.
And don't forget, a former India captain is now their mentor.
Yes.
Oh, Ajay Jadeja.
They have talking about that. That's actually a good move. As in, Ajay Jadeja has a wealth of experience about the conditions in India, and also don't forget they've played most of their matches in Greater Noida, Lucknow. They had
played a lot of experience in India,
and the IPL experience that they have, you never know.
They must be feeling at home when they're playing in India.
Yeah.
But talking of giant slayers, you can't rule out the Netherlands from creating a spur here and there.
Definitely not.
They've done that in the past in previous World Cups. Teams like the Netherlands, Ireland.
Yeah.
Often you don't take. I'm not trying to, be disrespectful towards them. But when you're talking of the top four and the potential finalists, maybe you somehow, when you're looking at your campaign, you somehow tend to overlook the Netherlands.
Yeah. And teams that do that are the ones who will suffer.
Yeah, because they're seeing a lot of you.
Yeah.
How much of them have you seen really?
Exactly. That's
India,
true.
when they're prepping for the World Cup, they'll be like, focused, okay, Australia, we have to get the better of Pakistan, South Africa, England, New Zealand here. But suddenly,
But India are playing Netherlands last.
yeah,
Pakistan are starting
that's the
against.
last game in the World Cup.
If I'm not wrong,
The
Pakistan are starting their campaign against the Netherlands.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Absolutely.
India-
6th of October.
And India's, that's the last league
League
game of
game
the
for
World Cup.
India.
India playing the last league game of the World Cup
Yeah.
against the Netherlands on the 12th of November. That is also the last league game of the World Cup before the semi-finals start. And hopefully we'll see India there. It's giving me goosebumps because we've been talking about it on the Sledging Room for a year and a half, and suddenly that moment is here. Right?
Yeah.
And once the World Cup starts, by the way, once it gets underway on the 5th of October, it'll be just through in a jiffy. That's what happens with these tournaments. You talk of the IPL and suddenly, talking of the build-up for 2 months of excitement and cricket, and suddenly you're on the, you're discussing post-match analysis for the final. So that's how quickly it blazes through. Okay, quickly, before we go now, this is as good a time as any to call out your top 4, last 4.
We have been naming our top 4 for the last 2 episodes also.
Yeah.
But this time you have one final chance to make
To
a top
make your
4 to
changes.
which you will stick throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
And we'll see at the end of the tournament which
I
of the
know 2
predictions
people
have
here
come
will
true.
stick to their top 4, apart from one person who will take a U-turn every week. Okay, first, quickly go.
Me,
one
I'm
with yours.
going to go first.
Yeah.
Is it? India, Australia, Bangladesh and New Zealand.
Okay. You?
South Africa,
Hmm.
India, Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
Okay,
I
both
will
of
not
us
keep
don't have
New
England,
Zealand.
huh?
I
Yeah.
won't keep New Zealand in my top 4 only
Okay.
because you guys mentioned it. So I want to see whether I can go against the flow and get this right.
Yeah.
For me, it's India, New Zealand, Australia, and I think Sri Lanka will be my dark horses.
None of us have named England. The
I
defending
did
champion.
India, England,
Okay.
Australia, and
South Africa.
So you
Sri
named
Lanka,
Bangladesh
my
as your
dark
dark horse.
Yeah.
I have named South Africa as my
and
dark
Sri Lanka is my dark horse. We'll see.
Yeah.
And potential
We'll be
And
here.
all of us have India, right?
Yeah,
potential
we all have
final.
India and
I
Australia.
want
I
an
think.
India-Australia final at the end.
And I want India to win.
Obviously.
Yeah, India, Australia final. And none of us have
Oh,
named
so all of us are rooting for India-Australia
Australia
final. Okay.
None of us have named
You
Pakistan.
you
in the
guys
top
have
4,
you guys are going with me because of the magic that I worked in the IPL.
By the way,
Oh,
Gilkis
yes.
also
Yes.
said it on Twitter. He wants to see India versus Australia final with Australia winning the final.
Okay.
And none of us have named Pakistan. Huh?
Pakistan are not there.
I keep telling you.
Pakistan are just not there.
they're not a good enough team. They're not a good enough
Let's
team. Let them
replay
begin the
this. Let's
campaign.
replay this
Yeah,
clip
maybe,
at the end of the
maybe,
semi-final
maybe, maybe,
group
but
stage. Yeah.
we are just naming a top 4. But
Yeah.
again, our listeners on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts can also tell us who their top 4 are.
Yeah.
You can always obviously write to us at pods@indiatoday.com, and you can ping us on 8588966996. I don't know if Kapil is going to read out all your messages, but if he sends them to us, we will be happy to share them with you. But yes, please, if you're consuming the Sledging Room on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, feel free to leave your comments. In fact, do leave your comments. We'd like to hear what you have to say about this episode. And please do not forget to put in your reviews on the Sledging Room. And of course, you can watch us on YouTube as well. We're always there every week on Thursday, either Thursday or Friday. And like I said, there will be special episodes dropping every week at the end of the week to analyze how the previous few days went by. Have a great week. We'll, of course, come back to you in just a couple of days. Enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy the World Cup with us on the Sledging Room and on IndiaToday.in Sports. Thank you so much. Have a terrific day. Bye-bye. You are on India Today Podcasts, and you are in the Sledging Room.